Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far. I know I am having a great day because my hands are full of Pat McGrath and the new Divine Rose II collection, which I am mega excited about. So if you want to see me try a full face of all of these new amazing products, then keep watching. So I know many of you will be wondering how come I've already got it. It took a week to get to me, which is very, very quick for Pat McGrath shipping, particularly when there's a new launch. So believe me, no one's more surprised than I am to have this in my paws already. If you're waiting for yours, don't panic, don't stress if it hasn't arrived yet. My expectation of Pat McGrath shipping to the UK at least is 2 to 3 weeks. So if it's been 3 weeks and it's still not here and you click on your tracking and there's no news and you haven't been emailed, then for sure, then get involved with some customer services. But yeah, it's pretty normal to expect 2 to 3 weeks for Pat McGrath shipping to arrive in the UK. So this is the new collection from Pat McGrath. Within it, she has re-released Divine Rose II in the glorious pink packaging. She has released a quad Eternal Eden, as well as a bullet matte lipstick, 2 liquid matte lipsticks, a highlight, and 2 lip liners and 1 eyeliner. She also included her Dark Star mascara as part of this collection, but obviously that is permanent and has been around for a while. So I picked up everything apart from the liners and the large Divine Rose II because I already own that. So if you want to see me speak about this or use this, I have a video on my channel where I reviewed this one when it first came out. It obviously has been around for a long time. So today I will be demonstrating and reviewing for you the Eternal Eden quad, the 2 matte liquid lipsticks, the bullet matte lipstick, and of course the highlight, which I'm mega excited for. So before we get into the demo, just to let you know, at the end I will be comparing this quad to the Risque Rosé quad from her holiday collection, as well as both Divine Rose 1 and 2, to see if you already have those, whether or not you really need this new one or not. And I'll also be doing some comparisons of the highlight as well. So don't worry, I am going to be giving you the full tea on whether or not you need anything or everything or some things from this collection. So without further ado, let's start whacking this stuff on our faces and seeing if it's worth the hype or not. So Rephr 16 and the pinkest matte. Oh, I picked up quite a lot there. By the way, full disclosure, I already filmed this one time and it seems like I didn't film it, like maybe I didn't press record. So that's fun. So if you notice anything weird, like I've had to like take off my eye makeup and reapply bits of makeup, so I'm sure it looks not the greatest. So if you're thinking what on earth is going on with my under eye or whatever's going on over here, that's what happened. So that was silly. We're definitely not lacking pigment here. This is just blending like an absolute dream. It definitely feels different to like the matte in the Risque Rosé quad, which is Italian made, and this palette is US made. So there's definitely, you can feel the quality difference. It's not anything dramatic, but it's not that same formula. Then Rephr 15 and the other matte, this sort of mauve matte. It's definitely, you know, a fair amount of kick up. Like these formula, I feel like the US formula is just that little bit more messy and like powdery than the Italian made formula, which is definitely my fave. But I mean, this is blending and building like a dream. And I feel like the fuchsia pink in here, just like in Risque Rosé, it's not as intimidating or as bright or as sort of garish on the eye as it looks in the pan. Like it looks super intimidating and bright, but once the two shades are kind of blended out together in the crease, it's much more wearable and softer if you don't love a sort of real Barbie pink. Maybe more wearable for you than you think. So MAC 242 in this rosy shimmer down here. It's definitely going to be some fallout with this shade because I'm using my brush dry. You could use it wet or you could use a finger if you want to avoid fallout, but it's never that much of an issue for me. I will just happily wipe it away. Usually I do my eyes before foundation when I'm not reviewing stuff, so then it's less of a issue, but it can be dusted away after. But this sort of type of shimmer is always going to have a bit of fallout really. This is definitely a bit brighter and lighter than it looked in the pan on the eye. I really like this shade. It kind of reminds me, I wonder how close it is to the sort of rose shimmer in Divine Rose II. We'll swatch them together in a sec. That is just super pretty and understated. I thought it was going to be much darker than that, but I really love it. But yeah, there is like a substantial amount of fallout if you're going to use that shade like I did with a dry brush. So for sure, like with all Pat McGrath palettes, I would definitely recommend you go in with a damp brush or just do your eyes first. So same brush wiped off and the lighter shimmer just to lift this inner corner, brighten that up. That works beautifully together. That's super pretty there. I feel like these shades all just work gorgeously together. Beautiful. They don't pack the same punch as like her special shades. These shimmers, they're definitely more of a classic shimmer, but super pretty. And then with my Diddy pencil brush, my 03 from Rephr, I'm going to mix the two mattes together and run them under the eye to finish off. I mean, they just blend like a dream. The pigment is there. And the blendability, you can't beat it. Back in with my Rephr 15, I'm just going to take this mauve shade and blend the outer third a bit with the shimmer. Just kind of bringing that up into the crease to smoke that up a bit. Bring back some of that depth there. Okay, so I'm just going to do the other eye, put some mascara on, and then we'll give you a close-up. Okay, here is the finished look with mascara on. I used Pat's Dark Star mascara today as well, so this is the finished look. No other issues on doing the other side either, just exactly the same experience. Really impressed actually with the shimmers. They were much more sort of creamy and impactful than I kind of expected, and they are definitely a bit lighter than they kind of look in the pan as well, which was a nice surprise for me. Okay, so the bit that I'm probably most excited about is the highlight, because I just love getting cheek products from Pat. I live, breathe, die for them. So I have got bronzer on, but no blush yet. So I'm going in with my Bristles Beauty F09 RM, just a natural hair brush. See how this does. So it's picking up some product, that's for sure. Oh my god. Okay. Wow, it's so smooth. That's the first thing I instantly notice, and it doesn't look as pink on the cheek as I expected. I was kind of bummed that this was like another pink highlight, given that, you know, we just want so many cheek products from Pat, and her first highlight was, you know, quite pink and didn't work for lots of people for that reason. This is like, it's almost like it doesn't have any base. It just looks like wet shine. I think if you didn't love the first one, this is like, it's glass skin. This might be a new favourite. And I also love, like, because it's not so pink as the last one, it's going to look better in places like down the bridge of the nose, you know, Cupid's bow and chin. I don't like using Pat's first highlight as much as I love it on the cheeks. It does look a little odd having like a pink chin and a pink nose. You know, whereas this one is much more wearable in those places. It's weird because it looks pink on my brush, but when I'm applying it, It's just looking like shine. But this is, oh, this is gorgeous. I'm so excited for this. It's beautiful. And I love that it's beautiful packaging, but it's not so over the top as her first highlight. So it just makes it much better value for money because you're not paying for the cost of that packaging, and you're getting a lot more product here as well. This is 10 grams versus 6.5 that her first highlight was. So that's always a winner. I'm going to do this in the inner corners as well. Oh, I'm living for this. This is like, I just know this is going to be my new fave. I love a highlight that is versatile, that's, you know, not going to enhance texture on your cheeks, but it still can give you the bling in inner corners, and this is definitely doing that. You know, that I wasn't expecting to like it. I just really thought it was going to be pinker, and therefore I was just going to be like, it's the same as the previous one. This is stunning. Do you see how like skin like that is and how it's not enhancing texture? I almost feel like, is it like smoothing my skin? Is it actually making it smoother somehow? What kind of witchcraft is this? Oh, that is just, it's just melted into my skin. And there's just no cast when you look forward. It's just like gloss. I'm obsessed. Can you tell? Okay, so I'm going to start off with the Bullet Matte. This only is available in one shade with the collection. I just love her matte formula. It's just so silky. It just glides on the lips. I feel like this is very reminiscent of Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk. If you have Pillow Talk, this is Pat McGrath's Pillow Talk, I would say. I think this whole look goes beautifully together for sure. So I'm going to start off with the lighter of the two liquid lips. Whoop. Barely a noticeable smell. It's like maybe, is it like a vanilla type smell, but I can barely make it out. So let's see, I'm a little bit nervous, I don't know why. Okay, so that wand is very, very easy to do a nice crisp line. It does pick up quite a lot of product, hold quite a lot of product. So I would probably wipe the applicator off on the component before going on, because I kind of over applied and then just had to work it out. I can feel it starting to like dry down on the lips now. It definitely enhances like lip texture, a matte liquid lip. It's not the worst, and obviously it hasn't been on for a long time. I think this is going to be kind of similar to like the Dose of Colours type of formula, where it's not super drying, like it sucks all the life out of your lips and you can't get it off afterwards. But I mean, you can just see, like for me, having natural lips that are textured and are quite dry at the moment as it's winter, it is going to enhance that versus like the Bullet. But then it is going to be much more long wearing and not come off on everything, and probably be more, well, be a lot more mask proof than the Bullet. So it's pros and cons, isn't it? But this is quite similar to the Bullet shade. It's just a little bit cooler, like that same sort of mauve tone. Very, very pretty. And again, of course, it goes with the rest of the makeup. So, I mean, this hasn't been on that long and already it's almost transfer proof, and it feels very comfortable. Like my lips don't feel like sucked dry, but it's already like barely anything is coming off on my hand, and I've only just been on there for a minute or two. So it's a really nice formula. I really enjoy the feel of my lips. I just wish it didn't quite enhance lip lines as much, but that's not the formula. It's just those types of lipsticks. Not that tough to take off either. And now for the deeper shade, and I've wiped the wand off this time. I mean, that pigment, that opacity is just there straight away. This is the one for me. Like, I just love this extra bit of depth, and this one is a little warmer, which I think suits me better, and it kind of goes with the eye look the best, I feel, of the three. Again, very, very comfortable. Very, very easy to apply as far as liquid lipsticks go. I still managed to over apply even though I wiped the wand off, so I would definitely give it a real wipe, especially in that first pass. You can always add, you know, but it will get a bit messy if you go in with too much, gets on your lips. I ended up having to like quite overline mine because I'm haphazard when it comes to applying liquid lipsticks. But yeah, the wand is beautiful, perfect size, very, very soft and really precise as far as getting like a nice crisp line. Definitely wouldn't need a liner to help you apply there. You know, it's really helpful, the wand, the size and the shape and everything. This is definitely my favourite. Again, a slight little bit of transfer, but it hasn't been on that long, so definitely one for under a mask. So here is the finished look with the Divine Rose Quad Divine Rose on the lips and this stunning highlight. Like that, if you get one thing, it has to be that highlight. I am shook. It's got like, my heart is just filled with glee. Okay, so I'm going to delve into some comparisons now, starting with the quad palette. So this is Divine Rose, and here is the Celestial Divinity Risque Rosé. So that's her holiday quad. So I feel like the Risque Rosé is all around richer. Like, it's got that special shade at the top there that has more punch than we see in this palette, and you can see the satin fuchsia at the top there is much richer than the fuchsia in Divine Rose, and the brown as well, much deeper and richer and more probably suited to deeper skin tones than the Divine Rose quad would be. But again, equally, both offer very buildable formulas, so you wouldn't necessarily struggle with either. So here they are swatched together, starting with Divine Rose, the new quad, and then Risque Rose. Actually swatched, the two fuchsias look very similar. The fuchsia in Risque Rosé is actually a satin versus the matte, so you can see a difference there. The two end shades, the richer shades in the palette, definitely look more similar swatch, but you know, they aren't similar really. These two, you know, quite different, and obviously this is very, very different to the other shimmer in Divine Rose. So yeah, they're different, but you know, the same kind of families, I guess. So next up we have Divine Rose II, the original, and there's definitely some similarities in here. These aren't repeats pulled from the big palette, but there's definitely some similar shades going on between the two. I'm going to see if there are any dupes. So here we are again. The Divine Rose quad is first at the front of my arm, and then we have Divine Rose 2, the original large palette, at the end. I mean, obviously the matte shades in here, it's much plummier than the mauve tone. The fuchsia is pretty close, although this fuchsia is definitely more of a sort of luminous satin. The multi-chrome in here really isn't similar, but it's kind of the closest option I had. And then this shimmer is fairly close, but it's definitely a higher shine than the one in Divine Rose. By the way, I just realised I keep calling this Divine Rose, but it's actually called Eternal Eden. It's Divine Rose Luxe Quad Eternal Eden. Can't speak, can't get anything right. I'm so sorry about it. Look how beaten up this poor baby is. So this is the original Divine Rose. So Divine Rose 1, Mothership 7, is it? Who knows at this point. And then the Eternal Eden. There we go. We got it right once in the video. So the original Divine Rose is definitely the more softer of the two larger palettes, Divine Rose 1 and 2. It's definitely a softer beast. Let's see if when swatched any of these shades are similar. Okay, so here is again the Eternal Eden. She's got it in her head finally, compared to the shades that I felt like were potentially the closest out of Divine Rose. The mattes actually way less similar than I thought they were going to be. I thought they were going to be much closer than that. There's obviously no kind of fuchsia shade in Divine Rose to compare it to, and these two are actually way more different than I thought they would be in the pan. So yeah, it's probably the least similar actually, Divine Rose. Okay, so now for the highlight. I'm going to swatch these on the back of my hand because my arm is so stripy now that I don't think it's going to be very helpful. I feel like it's going to be confusing, so I'm going to swatch these comparisons on the back of my hand. So here is the new Divine Rose highlight, just absolutely stunning. It's almost got like, is it like a peachy shift to it, maybe, possibly? It's almost like a duochrome. And her original Champagne Gold Skin Fetish highlight. This is the one that I said is that very rosy tone. I've got to be careful not to swatch on top because it just melts so much into the skin, that new one. So here is the new highlight and then the original, the Skin Fetish highlight from Holiday. I mean, you can see how much more colour there is there. That pinky sort of almost rosy tone, whereas the new one, it just melts. It's much more of a skin-like tone for me, and it just melts in. It's just way more natural and melts into the skin, and it's lighter. I feel like it's got like a much thinner consistency. And I'm also going to swatch, just for argument's sake, the highlight out of this Natasha Denona Love duo, just because I feel like someone's going to ask me to. I don't know why. So the Natasha Denona, the new Pat McGrath, and the original Pat McGrath. I'd say it's actually closer to the Natasha Denona, but the Natasha Denona is just much more pink still. I think the new Pat McGrath, the Divine Rose highlight, is like peachy gold as opposed to being any kind of pink or rose. And for the bullet lipstick, I thought, as I mentioned it, that we would compare it to Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk. So here is Pillow Talk from Charlotte Tilbury and Divine Rose from Pat McGrath. So they are pretty similar. Divine Rose is definitely richer, more opaque and a little deeper than Pillow Talk, which is slightly more of a sheerer. It's not sheer, but it just hasn't got the full opacity that the Pat McGrath has. But yeah, they're definitely a similar kind of shade, aren't they? So there you have it, guys. That is everything as far as the demo and the swatches. So my initial thoughts on this quad. It's very, very nice. It's very easy to use. The quality is definitely there for sure. I had no issues blending things out. I had no issues with pigment. I had a slight issue with some fallout of this shade, but if I hadn't have done my foundation already, that would be easily wiped away, or if I had used a dampened brush or a finger, wouldn't have been so bad. But yeah, that's just something to note. I really love the shadows as they all work beautifully together, and I love the fact that there are 2 mattes in here and 2 shimmers, so you get a full cohesive eye look just with this quad and without having to reach for another palette or anything like that. I think it's a really nice colour story. While I do feel like the quality is good, it's definitely a step down from her Risque Rosé palette, and I think if you own that one that is Italian made with her special formula in, you will definitely notice the difference. They're just not as creamy as the mattes and the satin are in that palette, and with that formula, her Italian made formula, and the special shade in that palette and her special shades in general definitely have more punch than the shimmers in here. This is definitely a softer, not as punchy formula overall. Not to say I don't like it, but I definitely prefer Risque Rosé. And I think if you have deeper skin or you just want a richer, more kapow look, then I would definitely recommend Risque Rosé over this one, because this one is definitely softer and less vibrant. Now, I've had this lip on now for probably half an hour. I can't even feel that it's... That's a lie. I can feel it's there, but barely, just barely. And it's now starting to feel like a little bit like it's grabbing on to your lips. You know how matte liquid lipsticks do. You can just, they just feel like they're sort of sucking on to your lips a little bit. I can feel that a little bit, but at the same time, my lips aren't sort of falling apart already or starting to feel dried out. So it's kind of a comfortable-ish formula. Definitely not the most comfortable that I have felt, but certainly not bad either. I'm not really a matte liquid lipstick kind of girl. Like, I appreciate them if I'm going out for dinner, which I clearly am not anytime soon, but I don't really love them day to day. If you do, I think you'll just love these because they are very easy to apply. They give a perfect, beautiful opacity. They dry down really nicely in our transfer. Proof pretty much almost straight away, which is fantastic. There's definitely now that they've dried down, absolutely nothing coming off when I dab my hands. So that's fantastic. If you like matte liquid lipsticks, I think you will love these. For me, being that I'm not 18 and I don't have any filler, so my lips are textured and they do have lines and things like that, I think it exaggerates them, and that's why I don't love this type of lipstick. But again, if it is more your thing, then I think you will like it more. As far as the bullet lipstick, I like it. It's not my favourite type of shade for me on myself personally. You know, I have spoken before about how I don't love Pillow Talk from Charlotte Tilbury, and this is, as you saw, quite similar. So as far as the shade, I'm not dying over it, but the formula, as always, Pat's matte formula is just gorgeous. So yeah, I think if you're fairer skin or you prefer Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk, then you will also love that one. I think the formula is definitely a bit more opaque and just feels more rich on the lips. But this bad boy, this for me is the standout of this collection. I mean, obviously I do own Divine Rose II already, the large mothership. I think that as well, if this is your first time purchasing that, you will be obsessed with it. It's one of, if not my absolute favorite palette of all time. It's just stunning. But this highlight really surprised me. I was expecting it to be too pink or just pink in general, and maybe to be a bit too over the top, which again, her other highlight isn't either. That surprised me as well, because I just think everything with Pat McGrath is so pigmented and so shimmery and sparkly when it comes to her eyeshadows that I really thought her highlights would be the same way. But this is just skin-like, natural luminosity, melt into the skin, seamless, smooth shine. I love it. I just know, give me a few more weeks and this could be like the holy grail. It's just stunning. If you pick up one thing, I would highly recommend it be this. I think this is just the thing that's very, very special about this collection if you already own the mothership. The packaging is nowhere near as luxe or as weighty. I mean, nothing is as weighty as this bad boy. It's like almost too weighty unless you're trying to use it as a weapon. But this one doesn't feel anywhere near as heavy or as luxe as that. But I do like the packaging. I think it's nice. It's beautiful. It's very, very pretty to look at. But the fact that this is going to be much more affordable and you get much more product, 10 grams in here versus 6.5 in here, I'm really happy. I think that's a much more sensible price point and sensible and generous amount for your money. But yeah, I definitely prefer this to this one. I love this one. I really like it. I'm one of the few people who actually likes the shade of this one on my skin tone. I really like it. But this one just blew it out of the park for me because it's just, there's something really just special about it. It's just melts in so beautifully. And the thing about this one that a lot of people don't like is it is quite a thick formula. I don't mind it, but yeah, this is just much easier to work with. This is a whole other level for me. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts, my first impressions, and all of the information on this new collection from Pat McGrath. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful, and I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.